Hello everybody and welcome to Salute 2025, 52 years of Salute in the offing, and we are going to be bringing you a selection of our choicest table views from across the wargaming hobby industry and community at this year's Salute. So be on the lookout. Hopefully you'll see your own games club there. Maybe you'll see some games you've never seen before. You come across some absolute stonkers like the multi-award winning Moonstones boards that we have here, showcasing the brand spanking new shades. We'll be here for the next hour or so, depending on how long it takes Shay to prime me away from the tables, and we'll be showing you as much of the show as we can if you couldn't make it here today yourself. So sit back and relax, because your Salute starts here. Hello everybody, we're here at Salute. I'm joined by Lee from the Cornwall Wargames Association. Once again, dressed up in his finery.
Yeah, dressed as a pirate again. Some people think this is what I do for a day. Unfortunately, I have a day job. I'd love to be a pirate, but there we go. Can't have everything. So today we're running Firelock's brand new rule system, Port Royal. It's a small skirmish campaign system set in 1692-ish. So Port Royal had an earthquake, and what they didn't know when they settled there was a huge amount of it was just built on sand. And when the earthquake hit, some buildings literally just disappeared into the sand, killed lots of people. But then in true pirate style, they went, "Ooh, shiny stuff all about now." And they started looting and pillaging all around the ruins of the city. And that's basically the premise of the game. So you run a small sort of 5 to 10 man crew with a captain and various other characters in there. And each character's unique, so you know it's a name. You give a name to the person rather than just a group of guys with swords or muskets or whatever. And it's designed as a campaign system. So,
well, with it being a campaign system, are these fresh crews, or have you run them through the mill a few times to get a bit of differentiation in them, or how have you set it up?
We've set it up as fresh crews. We've only had the rules for about 3 weeks, so today might be a little bit. We might be a little bit fudgy on some of the bits. We're just getting to grips with it ourselves, but it's a fantastic thing to bring here. Short, small game for people to have a go at. So, yeah, come and have a go, really.
If you're in and around Salute, obviously you'll see them every year. They always put on a great spread. But if you can't make it to Salute, how can they find you?
So we're on Facebook. Look for Cornwall Wargames Association. We also have a website. And we also do a lot of the shows in the southwest. So whether this game or another game that you'll see very soon, you'll see us about, and we'll if people want us, give us a shout, and we'll hopefully bring it to a show near you.
There you go, folks. We're going to drift over to Chris and take a look at some smuggling, also being put on by the Cornwall Wargames Association. Okay, so we've come over here to see Chris and this fantastic-looking game called Brandy for the Parson.
Yes.
It is an unusual setup. Do you want to tell us a bit about what the game is and how it sort of evolved?
It's actually evolved from a cycling game that we wanted to do something with gig racing, and we discovered that it would be easier to simulate that the gigs used to go out and collect stuff off the smuggling vessels. So in this case, the smugglers have dropped the barrels into the water. They usually used to lash them all together, but in this case, they've come apart. So you have to race out from the beach, collect the barrels, and bring them back to the port before the revenue cutter, which will appear,
yes,
comes and chases. If it catches anybody, you're off to Australia. And then at the end, you score points for how quickly you came in, and a random value for the barrels that you've picked up.
So some of the barrels may be full, some of the barrels may have been seawatered or whatever, you don't know?
Completely random at the end. It's to keep people, you might be coming in quite low down and think there was nothing in this for me, but you could still win. So it's just to G people up.
Yeah.
And you can steal the barrels off of each other as you go along until you get to the harbour, where the leader of the smuggling gang is watching, and he'll have you shot if you try stealing after the harbour wall.
It's an impressive looking thing. Not just the board itself, and obviously the cliffs here on this headland, which looks spectacular.
This was an over-delivery. We said, could you do some cliffs? And he got a bit carried away.
But I mean, it sells it. It shows off something beyond often when people play a naval game, it can be very flat. People, you get a few skerries or maybe a bit of flotsam and jetsam, that sort of thing. But here, having the headland projecting out, totally unnecessary, but looks fantastic.
This is so North Cornwall. Yeah. This is where we were all are. So this is normal to us.
Now tell us, there's a judge lurking behind us at a pulpit. What's going on there?
He runs the game. Whenever you go into a square that there's rocks, you have to avoid the rocks by playing your cards right in the old Bruce Forsyth manner. And if you try to steal a barrel, that's done via rock, paper, scissors. But again, he'll run. He is bribable.
Like most judges, infinitely bribable.
In particular with him. He's already taken a bribe by the looks of it.
Well, I mean, that's the best way. It looks like a fantastic spread. I always love the games that you put on here because they're so distinctively Cornish, if that's a way of it.
We are trying to do Cornish games. We've only got wrecking left, and I don't know how you make that fun.
There we go, folks. As we've already seen, some great games being put on by the Cornwall Wargames Association. Definitely worth checking them out. This, in and of itself, is just so unique, and it's one of the reasons why I love coming to Salute. We're going to move on. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hi there, folks. We're here at Salute. I'm here with Mark Backhouse, who's the author behind Strength and Honour, and we're showing off a really fascinating battle that you guys are doing here today. What is this one? Can you give us a little brief overview?
Sure. It's the Battle of Beneventum. It's fought in 275 BC. It's from the Pyrrhic Wars. Yeah. And basically what's happened is over here is the town of Beneventum, although at the time it was called Maleventum, which meant a bad wind. And the Pyrrhic forces have come into Italy for the third time now after two close-run victories, two Pyrrhic victories, of course. Yeah. And Pyrrhus has got his army camped down the bottom of the hill. However, the Romans have camped on top of this hill here and they've guarded this vital roadway towards Beneventum. And Pyrrhus has decided to carry out a nighttime outflanking manoeuvre through this thick area of rocky woods and trees over here to come round behind the rear of the Roman force. Right. Unfortunately, the Romans have got wise to this. Pyrrhus' forces are a little bit exhausted because they've marched all night long and they've deployed out of their camp. So now we're going to fight out this battle here in 275 BC to see if Pyrrhus will be defeated or if it will be a Pyrrhic victory for him or maybe even a glorious victory. Yeah. Now after the battle they changed the name of the town to Beneventum, a good wind.
Oh, there you go.
So there we are. So will the Romans be victorious? Will it be a good wind today or a bad wind? Who knows?
So for anyone who's not tried Strength and Honour before, can you give us kind of like a brief overview of like the mechanics of the game and sort of how people can get into it? Because it might be a scale that maybe someone's not had a look at before as well. So.
Sure. So Strength and Honour is an ancient battlefield game. It's designed around the Roman world. The main rules cover from the time of about Marius through to about 200 AD, so about Septimus Severus. We've just brought out a supplement, a conquest supplement there, which goes from Alexander the Great and covers up to Marius as well. Yeah. So the slightly earlier period there. Each unit inside it is a base, representing about 5,000 heavy infantry or about 2,000 cavalry. There's no individual figures being removed for it. You can play actually in any scale. We like playing it in 2mm, but you can actually
it gives you the grand feel of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2mm, we like that grand scale of it here. So each of these bases here, for example, is an entire Roman legion. So here we've got 40,000 Roman troops here on the table, which on a 6x4 is quite difficult to do in 28mm with any sense of the formation or whatever inside it. So that's one of the strengths to having it in a smaller scale. Because there's no casualty removal, as the game goes on, you're going to pick up these cards here, which are setback cards and disaster cards, and they represent the fatigue, the casualties, the morale of your army collapsing. And if you pick up too many of those cards, in the end, then your army will collapse and break. I see. So that's the sort of the main system for it. It's actually grid-based, but at the moment you probably can't see the grid on there at the moment. Possibly you just about spot out the dots inside it there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But the idea is in all our tables we try and make sure that you don't focus on the grid, you focus on the battlefield. Because most ancient battles tend to be fairly linear battles anyway. This is quite an unusual one in that we're facing in two different directions. That seems to work really, really quite well inside it. The games last about 2.5 hours, something like that there. And the lovely thing with it is I can pack all these up and fit them all back in a box about 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot.
I was going to say that's probably one of the nice things about modelling in this scale as well, is that you have some very interesting ways that you can approach things. You're not having to worry about the intricate detail of uniforms and all that kind of thing.
So you look at the formation, so the Roman legions and so the triple AC's formation is very clear to see, but the individual units here of infantry have all got magnetic bases. So if I want to swap these from being Italian allies through to being Gallic warband, it's a simple swap of a magnetic label, and then you're away. And you can therefore get lots of flexibility out of your armies.
We also noticed, and Justin was quite taken by this as well, we've got bath mat trees, which is a really nice way of doing it. It's so good.
Yeah, this is an idea I came up with a couple of years ago. A £6 mat from Asda. It's green originally, dry brush green over the top of it, and you're away, so it's great stuff.
Brilliant. So if people want to come and check out Strength and Honour, where do they find you guys online? Where can they get the rules from?
Yeah, so the rules are available from Ricewitz Press through Two Fat Lardies. And you can also get them from Carawanserai, who do Wargames Soldier Strategy magazine if you're in Europe. They're available on PDF and in printed form. And we've also got our website as well, which is the official Strength and Honour Facebook site, actually, to be honest, not a website. Yeah. So come and check us out there, come and join in, and there's lots of discussion and banter and things inside that, and new ideas and stuff bouncing around.
Very cool. Thanks for having a chat with me, Van. It was really cool.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
If you've never played 2 want to dive down to this scale, do big epic scale battles, definitely check out Strength and Honour. And we'll be with you guys in a new video very soon.
All right, we're back again at Salute, and we've decided to wander over and see the people responsible for Salute, which seems only right and proper. So the South London Warlords, you don't just do the extravagant exhibition that is Salute, but you are a club in and of your own right, and you've got a whole host of games on here on the day.
Yes, absolutely. We've been a club before Salute. Salute was founded in 1972. The club was 1971. This is our sort of members' games area, where we put on games, let people know what it's like to come down to the club, and we've played all these games at the club in advance, and this is sort of like all passion projects from people who are involved in the club.
So the big sci-fi game we have here is the Hall of Fame game. What's the idea behind the Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame games are games that are usually 20 or more years old, and this one is the Brian Ansell Memorial Game in honour of the famous Brian Ansell. His rules laser burn, and it's sort of Star Wars-esque sci-fi early 80s vibe, and that's put on by David Cunhill and Alan Patrick, who are there, it seems like a really good game. I'm not 100% sure on the rules. We've got Chewbacca, we've got the band from Star Wars playing their music out the front of the cantina.
Frigrin Dan and the Modal Nodes.
Oh, I'm so glad you know it. I forgot what it was called. Yeah, it looks brilliant. It's obviously terrain from some of it's 3D printed, some of it is original 1970s Star Wars stuff, which is pretty cool.
Tell me about this majestic edifice behind us then. So this is 4 games in one.
Yes. So this last year we had Salute Mountain. We've made it more portable, a bit smaller, so it's a bit more obvious that it's 4 separate games. Yeah. We've got Kill Team on this one. We've got a game I wrote called Salute the Captain, which is a sort of pirate game, very easy to get into. We've got a Moria game, which is Escape from Moria, Gandalf's Dead. Fellowship have got to get across the board. It's GW game, but I've sort of remixed it. And then down here we've got Bolt Action, which is, everyone knows Bolt Action. And it's a little Pacific game for people to jump in and out of and sort of get the taste for playing games at a club.
Yeah, and they're just sort of, like you say, tasters, little mini versions of full games that show the sort of diverse range that you play at the club.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what we're about. Just getting people involved, and it's a great thing at the club where you can turn up and play multiple games in one night because you can dip in and out. Yeah. And here is one of my favourite games to dip in and out of at the club. This is John Concar, who's on the stage right now. This is John Concar's own rules, Starships, which is sort of a homage to Star Trek. Absolutely brilliant game. Works so well, so much fun. Card-based, dice-based. And all the miniatures look fantastic, and I've seen him paint them up, and it is such a good game.
And then at the end we have a spectacular looking game with a really over-the-top version of Grand.
Yes, this is pre-movie Grand. This is the original. I'll just let's come around here. Yeah. We'll ask Kev.
Okay, so we're going to wander around and pick on one of the actual game writers and see what it's going like. But as you can see, the miniatures themselves are absolutely massive. They look like they're maybe 54mm attacking minus Tirith. 75s.
Interview Pete.
Okay.
Pete's game.
Pete, so if you want to tell me a bit about what you have here in front of you and how it's come together.
Well, it was inspired by when the Lord of the Rings films came out. There was a whole lot of merchandise produced as well, all sorts of scales. And I happened to notice in Woolworths, so you can date this, a toy range came out with 3-inch figures. Multi-pose, pre-painted, and a variety of different types. I started getting those. So when I bought the cavalry figures, Woolworths were dumping them for £5. Now, unfortunately, I would suggest doing it at a different scale, because one of those is about 75 quid.
Tricky to do, but I think this shows what you can do at a club and at an exhibition like this, because it's so eye-catching, so beyond the norm that a lot of people will associate with wargaming. There's not a huge amount of large-scale wargames. There's a few here today, but it's nice to be able to come in and see something so different, so unique. How long has it taken you to put it all together and scenario-wise?
Well, we've run this at several salutes, different scenarios. The first one was Weathertop with the ring wraiths, which are beautiful figures. And like any other war game, it's the figures that inspire. We've got to actually use those. But the system started with a board game called Star Wars Epic Duels. And the whole point of it is the rules are one page of A4. But all the characteristics are a deck of cards. And the cards are unique to each type. So the Orc card deck has all its tactics on a card. And when I did the Star Wars one at Salute a few years back with the 5-inch toy range, and I was giving the rules away to kids because the number of kids that turned up and looked at the table and went, "I've got those figures."
I mean, that's the best way to bring them in. Get them while they're young and get them enthused and show them that it doesn't have to be an expensive elite hobby. At the end of the day, we're all pushing toy soldiers around and rolling dice.
Absolutely, and enjoying it.
Well, that is the main thing. Well, you've put on a fantastic display here. I hope you enjoy your salute, and I hope this gets a whole new wave in for the foreseeable future, and maybe they'll be putting on their games in certain years to come as well.
So go home and check out your kids' toy box.
There you are. Steal away from the kids. Get some games in on yourself. That gives you an idea of what South London Warlords do when they're not running Salute, so it's worth checking them out as well if you're in the London area. We're going to move on and see what else there is to see. Hello everybody, I'm back at Salute and I'm joined by Mark over at the Rubicon stage, and in front of us we have Oscar Mike World War II. This is long in the making, but slightly different than what people expected. There was talk last year about the Vietnam game, and now it's developed into something more than just a Vietnam game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, still very much the focus is the Vietnam game. I mean, obviously the core principles of the game were built on the Vietnam game, and talking about that whole idea of hidden enemies and asymmetric forces, asymmetric lines of sight, ambushes in those situations. Once we got that and we played lots of Vietnam games, we were like, hey, this is a really good system, and I think it would work just as well with World War II. And we realised Vietnam is a niche thing, so we felt if we could pitch it to the World War II crowd and show, look, this is a good system, they can use it for that and have great games with that, but it'll get people into the Vietnam side as well, because they go, oh yeah, this is cool. But when you start looking at how, lines of sight work and how area terrain works, and you start thinking about jungle combat and how that plays in, and sneaky little tricks of the VC of like ambushes and withdrawals and things, yeah, that might be even cooler. So yeah, we figured, hey, why not show it'll work with World War II as well as with Vietnam.
So for the likes of Oscar Mike then, what sort of scale of game are people looking at? Is it going to be a sort of platoon or larger?
No, it's probably about squad level. So here you can see this is a really slimmed down game. So here we're using one-man teams. I know it seems weird to talk about a team of one man, but the game tends to work on the team principle. But it plays perfectly well at this level of one-man teams. The sweet spot really where we like to play it is on a bigger table, probably 6x4 with 4 to 6 man teams. So you're talking somewhere between a dozen and 2 dozen models aside. That's a squad level. but it'll then play up to twice that as well at kind of the platoon level, but you'd need more time and a bigger table. But it scales perfectly well across the board, yeah. So you can play, and it's not like you're not sacrificing anything to play at any of those levels. It plays perfectly well at all those levels.
What about vehicles? Because obviously, for some games, when you start to get into that sort of tactical depth for infantry, vehicles can be very overpowering. Yeah. How are you approaching it?
Okay, well, we've still got beta rules for vehicles. I'm a bit like you. I do often think vehicles don't have a place in 28mm gaming because they don't fit the scale. But hey, come on, everybody wants to have them in there. But I really didn't want them in as like, here's this kind of brick that I've put on the table that is just going to stand there and not do much. So the way we're approaching, the way we approach quite a few things in the game is kind of more abstract elements to it. And the way we're going to approach vehicles is, well, one is you're going to have to support your vehicles with infantry, because if you don't, then anti-vehicle troops on the other side, and they will get them automatically, will take that vehicle out, so you're going to have to watch out for RPGs or mortar or whatever. So that's one way we're going to do it. And also, because of the way our command and control system works, we'll kind of factor in how vehicles are moved and work within the game, within the command and control system, so they don't become these overpowering juggernauts that just plough through things that people can't do anything about. Yeah, so that's how we're going to kind of put it in. But we're not going to. We've already started work on it, but that's going to be advanced rules. It's going to come in at a later point. We're going to add in the advanced rules for the infantry side of things first, and then vehicles will come in at a later point once people are familiar with that.
And you were saying the infantry core rules, the beta rules for those are now available if people want to have a look at those?
We're past beta, yeah. We're alpha now. So yeah, the core rules, I've been promising to people for ages, but obviously they took way longer to kind of get to a state we wanted them to be in. But yeah, I posted them up they're available on the Oscar Mike Facebook page, and they're available on Rubicon Models digital downloads. I put those up Thursday, I think. So yeah, they're there, good to go. It's set up as it's a free electronic document. It's set up to be used as an electronic document rather than require a printing. A lot of internal hyperlinks to get you around the document. Fully hyperlinked contents, and it also has a large appendix to it as well, which has examples of all the key aspects of gameplay, because we realise there's a lot of USPs in here. Our line of sight works differently, our movement works differently, our combat works differently to lots of games that people played. So we tried to show, okay, this is what it looks like in gameplay, even in complex examples, even when you've got complex setups. I don't like games where they make out it's simple and then you end up with a situation in the game where you go, what happens now? Let's make it up. So we try to give guidelines for how all that's going to work. So, but we welcome feedback on it. It's not the final version because it's still with professional proofreaders. Once we have back from that, we will update it again and modify it again. But yeah, it's there. It's a freebie. You can look at it, give us feedback, tell us what works, tell us what doesn't, tell us what you don't understand. Yeah.
There you go, folks. Definitely want to check out. I will be talking with Mark in the not too distant future about this in great depth, because there's just too much to get into at a quick shout out in Salute. But I know a lot of people have been looking for this and looking at it for a while. So it's great to see that it's coming to fruition, and in a slightly different way than we expected originally. So let us know what you think below, folks. We're going to push on and see what else Salute has to offer. Hello everybody, we are back once again at Salute, and this time I'm joined by David in front of the magnificent Song of Ice and Fire board, and you're part of the Shed Gaming Club. Do you want to tell me a bit about who you are and what you've put on here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're just a group of about 10 friends that meet in someone's shed, and so we're not really a club as such, but we've wargamed together for decades, and so formed, if you like, our own little informal club. And today we're putting on a game of A Song of Ice and Fire, which is based on a Game of Thrones.
It's a game that I always see when new miniatures are coming out, and it looks spectacular, but I've never had a chance to play it. I know there's like a sideboard mechanic. Can you talk us a bit through what the game's like and what scenario you have in front of us?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. To be honest, for the show we don't really have a scenario, although it is a thematic battle of the Lannisters against the Baratheons. But the game is absolutely fantastic. I'd really recommend people giving it a go. It's a weird mixture of an on-table war game, a normal war game where units move and they shoot and they fight and they die and they take morale, But yes, you have this off-table area which is called a tactics board. So if you imagine, if you know Ice and Fire at all, a character such as Cersei Lannister, she wouldn't be on a battlefield, but she might influence it. And so you can purchase as part of your army a figure such as Cersei called a non-combat unit. And she acts in a way that influences the battle. There are 5 zones on this tactics board which do different things. A free move, a free attack, you can heal, you can take tactics cards, you can make someone take a panic test. If you claim that zone, you get to do what that zone category is. The tactics board is available to your opponent as well as to you. So sometimes you've got to think, what do I want to do? Especially as the battle moves on and you start to get engaged with each other. Do I take a free attack? Or do I use one of my on-table units and do an attack? Or do I heal myself? Because if I don't take the zone on the tactics board, it's available to my opponent. So it becomes a real struggle sometimes of priorities. Because if I don't take something on there, my opponent's going to do it back to me. If you like strategy and tactics, this is the game for you. Give it a go. It is brilliant. It's a fantastic level, another layer to the game, which already has a number of different layers. Each unit can have what's called an attachment. It's like a single figure that's a character that is on the battlefield, and they can change the way a unit works as well. You can get great combos of attachments with units. I'd really recommend it. It's a fantastic game.
So who's responsible for painting all the figures then? Is this a group effort or is one person more to blame than another?
So at the moment, all of the Lannisters have been painted by one person, all of the Baratheons by another. They now pretty much have every faction available. The only faction which I don't think they're ever going to do are the White Walkers, because they'd be too difficult to beat. But pretty much you can pick every faction available. I, for example, have got Night's Watch mostly, so I've painted all of those. We do take that to other shows, and we've done Night's Watch against Free Folk, for example. The figures are fantastic. I initially got into this just to paint the figures. I managed to get a very cheap box starter set of the Night's Watch. I now have all of the Night's Watch units.
Well, that's how they get you, and that's how we all end up as wargamers anyway. You start off grabbing one thing, and before you know it, you're like a kid in a candy store. You can't stop yourself. It's a fantastic looking game. Hopefully people will be inspired by this. If you don't already play A Song of Ice and Fire, to give it a go. If nothing else, everybody loves mass battle, rank and file. It looks so much better than little skirmish games running around the place. Change my mind below. We're going to push on and see what else there is at Salute. Bye-bye. Hello everybody, we're back at Salute once again, over at Pandyman Entertainment to take a look at Trench Offensive. I'm joined by Paul. This is a game that we've seen on and off for the past couple of Salutes. It's the first time I think we've got a chance to actually talk to you in front of the board though. So do you want to tell us a bit about what Trench Offensive is?
So Trench Offensive is very much a trench-based skirmish game where we have fast-moving, running through the trench, based very much around the trench raids that were happening in the war, usually at night, but they happen during the day. They would happen any time of the day. And basically, it's more historically inspired. We tried to make it so that people would really experience what it was kind of like at those moments. But that was actually a happy accident, because originally I didn't realise how often it happened, and then boom. I started doing the research, and damn, it was, a lot.
So, this is a beautiful layout. The Trench Offensive game has maps that come with it. What sort of size of a table footprint does this take up?
Yeah, so realistically it's about, I'll go centimetres just to really confuse everyone. It will be about 90 centimetres by 40 centimetres, which is basically this board. And we do actually have a modular system now as well, so you can, you don't need more than that. It's very nice and compact.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that people often worry about when they play World War I games on the tabletop is they think it's a trench at one side, a trench at the other, and then their miniatures have to run across no man's land and get mown down. Here you've taken the no man's land nonsense out of the equation and focusing solely on the close quarters battles that people would have to deal with in the trenches.
That is 100% correct, and that is why we wanted to do it, because I love the idea of running through a trench, nicking someone's collar emblems off, and then running away again, because that happened way too often. Loads of museums in this country have examples where they basically been just sheared off with a quick bayonet cut and then ran away instead of killing the individual. So it's not all about death either. It is also about the strategic narrative of how you can play it, and you can have a real fun time by calling them all different names. I like to call my Germans Paul, Hans and Christian.
Yes.
And my Brits are all Bob, Steve and Dave, because they're good British names and good German names. So, yeah, make it fun with that.
Yeah, and I mean, that also is very telling, the fact that it's not a huge amount of miniatures, because you're working in such a dense bit of terrain, you're only dealing with a very small handful of figures. You have moved beyond British and German for actual combatants, if you will.
Yeah, so we've got Italians, Hungarians, we have, because I wanted to do Alpine, we also got the British Indians, who are not really in the Western Front, but, I love them. We also have French, but we've gone more Indo-Chinese French.
Yeah.
Just because, let's be honest, you don't see them as miniatures,
sure.
But they played a crucial role, and I wanted to try and make it so that there was those extra bits and bobs where you could have a bit of fun with it. So we've also got the Ottomans as well, who, let's be honest, did fight in trenches, but everyone forgets about them because they were in the Middle East.
Yeah, it's one of these things. If people are looking to find Trench Offensive, then where's the best place to go looking online?
So our website is pandyman.co.uk. That's probably the best place to find it. We also have, if you're in Europe, I would also recommend going to Tabletop Battles in Norway. They do our European stuff, as well as, we've also got one shop in the UK as well. So if you're in Norfolk and you want to go in and actually play a game on it beforehand, and we're not at a show, go to Models and Miniatures.
Fantastic stuff. Definitely worth checking out. It's also worth checking out the other thing Pandyman do, because I quite like the Moderns games. There's some really fun miniatures in there as well from the emergency services. We're going to push on and see what else there is to see at Salute, and we'll be back soon. Hello everybody, I'm back at Salute. This time I'm joined by Ken, the Yarkshire gamer.
That's the one, the one.
And we have in front of us a magnificent spread, which is par for the course really, because I'm on your YouTube channel all the time and I see nothing but majestic armies, and they're not small. So do you want to tell us what we've got here today?
So this is the Battle of Mentana, and it's 1867, and this is the end of the Italian Risorgimento. So if you don't know your history, Italy wasn't a unified country at that point. Lots of little city-states and minor areas ruled themselves, and there was a war in 1860 which got Italy all together, apart from the Papal States, because they kind of went, God's in charge, so we're not coming on board. And Garibaldi, who wasn't famous for his love of the Catholic Church, decided to take Rome in 1867, and the Papal States said no, and they were helped by some French who are today using the Chassepot rifle for the first ever time on the battlefield. And it's a very obscure battle, and half of the reason for that is that nobody can tell me I've got it wrong.
It's a good way of doing it. It's very easy. You can stay clear of button counters and armchair generals if they don't know what's happening. How much of what we see in front of us is down to yourself? Because I know you paint like an absolute fiend.
All the figures are mine. In fact, everything on this table is mine today. I do tend to do the bulk of projects, and this is just one that was trying to persuade anyone to do any project is quite difficult. Trying to persuade them to do 1867 Risorgimento was virtually impossible, so I did it all myself. And I had to go searching for the right figure types, because people don't make them. So I've got British Interventionary Force from the Perrys, I've got ACW figures, all sorts of stuff on the table. To be fair, it was a joy looking for figures rather than just picking them off the shelves. It was like wargaming when I was a lad, and you had to search for stuff.
Yeah. Well, I remember seeing some very early minifigs conversions years ago, simply because they were the only game in town, and they had to be attended to with a solder iron to get them to be accurate and appropriate. Apart from having the Yorkshire Gamer YouTube channel and your Reach Big podcast, are you tied to a gaming club then as well?
Yeah, I'm a member of Leeds Wargaming Club, have been since I came to Leeds in 1988, and we meet at a place called Hicks Hall. A friend of ours who was a member of the club for years sadly passed away, and without telling us he left us all his money, which was enough for us to buy an old cinema. So we have our own club premises that we use all the time, massive space to do massive games, which is exactly what I'm into, so it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it does sound amazing, and a really generous gift to the club, giving back. How often do you meet, and where can people look for you if they happen to be in the Leeds area and don't already know?
Yeah, we meet at a place called Hicks Hall, which is in a place called Burley, which is just outside the town centre, going towards Headingley and the cricket ground. People will know that. And we meet regularly on a Wednesday night, which is kind of your club night, and then we will often open up, because it's our own premises, on a weekend or other nights as and when people want to do games. So it's a fantastic place to have, because you can leave stuff up. A lot of people do the game the way that they do because they're limited by time or space. So it enables a lot of people to try the bigger games that I'm into, the longer form games that I'm into. It's fantastic for that.
Well, there you go, folks. If you are anywhere near Leeds, you should definitely check it out. If you're not near Leeds, or you can't get there, then check out Ken's YouTube channel, Yarkshire Gamer. It's fantastic, if only for the Sweeney stop-motion animation intro, which gets me every time. We're going to push on and see what else is here at Salute. Let us know what you think below, folks. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Martin, and we're standing in front of Warsaw, a spectacular-looking Warsaw, set up for the Warsaw Rising of 44?
Yes, that's correct.
So, what is this that we're looking at then? What's the game system and what's the scenario that you're putting on here today?
Right, we're using O Group as a set of rules as a basis. However, O Group is designed for 15-20 mil. So what we've done, we've modified it so the shooting ranges have been changed to fit in with 28 mil. And we've made a few kind of slight alterations to the rules just to incorporate half tracks and armoured cars.
Well, yeah, I do see the little Polish kubus lurking at the end of the bridge there.
Yeah, that was kind of compulsory for me to actually kind of bring that on.
Yeah, I would think so. So the board itself then, obviously it's bespoke, built for Warsaw Rising. Who's responsible for this, and how long did it take to put it together?
It was me. So I basically built the board. All the buildings are 3D printed. I've done slight alterations to them as I've got access to a laser cutter. So you'll see kind of little signs and stuff like that, which I've put on there. Yeah, and that's took me about 8-9 months, okay, in total to put the whole lot together. That includes all the figures as well as the buildings and the terrain.
But I mean, for something like Salute, bringing this, it's worth the time investment because it's such a spectacular board to play across and really gives that feel of the dense street fighting that they had there during the Rising.
Well, I hope it does. Yeah.
So you're part of a club then? Is this the sort of thing that you would wheel out on a club day?
Not exactly on a club day. It just takes so much time just to actually kind of transport it and assemble it. So it's very much kind of round a friend's house. I'll take it, assemble it, and then play it. But
so what club are you a part of then?
Loughton Strike Force.
So how often do you meet, and where can people find you if they want to come along to the club?
We're in Loughton. We meet kind of every Wednesday night. At the Working Men's Club in Loughton, which is not far from the Underground station.
There you go, folks. Definitely worth checking this out. And if you get the chance to actually go and visit the club, clearly they have a passion for wargaming, and hopefully it will introduce a load of people in that area to the game as well. This is absolutely stunning. I'm blown away, and I'm going to go and see what else there is in Salute that will do the same. And we're back at Salute with Simon, the rules writer behind To the Strongest. And there's an amazing spread in front of us here today. So do you want to tell people a bit about what To the Strongest is as a rule system first, and then we'll talk about the actual scenario that you've got laid out?
Great. To the Strongest is a grid-based rule system that I wrote maybe 10 years ago now. It's designed to play fast, ancient and medieval games on a 6x4 table in a room over a pub in about 2 hours with a pint of beer or two.
Good.
But it also scales to fight really big battles, which we like to fight at shows. This one today is a small one for me. It's a 12-foot wide battle with about 900 figures. But I often go up to maybe 3,000 figures. So I wrote originally the ancient set, To the Strongest, adapted it for medieval. Later we wrote a set for the English Civil War called For King and Parliament. And now I'm about 6-7 months into writing a set which we're tentatively calling Lust for Glory, which is the whole of the horse and musket period from 1650 up until the end of the American War of Independence. Later one day I'll do Napoleonics. I've written 25,000 words of the rules, and they've been in playtesting for about 4 months now. I've got different teams of people playtesting them. I'm getting the reports back. I'm on version 17 of the rules. We'll probably get to about version 30 by the time I've finished. And I hope to finish writing the rules in about 6 months, which would mean I could launch them at Salute next year, unless life gets in the way of it.
So, with the setup you have here, with the scenario you have here in front of us, what are we looking at? What is the battle that's being recreated?
Right, so this is a fantasy battle in that it's basically designed to utilise all the troops we've got, which are basically, I've got 6 brigades of French on the one side, 3 of infantry, 3 of cavalry. On the other side, I've got 4 brigades of Dutch and 2 brigades of British and Danes. The troops are of varying qualities. I've tried to, some of the British are very good, but again, some of the French are terrific troops. The French troops are more inclined to want to charge in with the bayonet. The British rely on their discipline and firepower. Some of the French cavalry is fantastic, and I'll be very interested to see how that goes on the wings there today. We've got 5 people who are very kindly playing under very challenging show conditions.
Yes.
They are asking me questions. Some of the answers I give may be correct.
Well, I mean, it is still a work in progress. It's a fantastic looking setup here. How many of the figures are you responsible for? Is it all your work, or have you roped in others?
I'm very lucky that last year, when War of the Spanish Succession was quite unfashionable, I was able to pick up a couple of fantastic collections, both painted by the same guy, Chris Thompson, for different people. And he is the best painter I've come across, other than David Imrie, who is a good friend of mine. Very different style to David's. We'll look at some of the figures a little bit later, get some close-ups for you. But, I mean, anyone that can paint eyes and eyelids on a figure, I'm just in awe. And my figures, most of the figures were painted by him. Some are from other people's collections where I found them. Some of the worst figures are the ones that I've painted.
But some paint is better than no paint at all. That's
absolutely. And what I have done is I've rebased everything for my new system, where for the sake of the sanity of some aging gamers, I've stayed very close to the existing systems with battalions of about 18 figures and squadrons of about 6. I think I have a lot more horse than you see on most battles of this period. I'm trying to get 2 or 3 squadrons of horse for every battalion of infantry, which is the general ratio we saw. It's coming on. It's coming on well. It's coming on well.
Well, I can see you're needed to advance the game. If people are wanting to find out more about Test of Honour, where should they, or To the Strongest, where should they look?
I've got a very active Facebook page, so To the Strongest Players. I post a fair bit of stuff on there about it. I also post pictures of what I'm up to. I'm on Blue Sky as well. Nice thing about Blue Sky is that it's when I'm busy, I can put a quick post on there in about 5 minutes and just let people know what I'm up to and show pictures of the units. If you Google "To the Strongest" on Facebook and look for the players page, there's often stuff on there about what's going on. I also do interviews with various people, so you might come across me.
There we go, folks. Definitely a game to check out, especially the fact that it's a grid-based system. You're not having to worry about the finagling individual models by millimetre or quarter of an inch at a time. You can just get it down, get it moving very quickly. Definitely want to check out, especially now that it's expanding into new eras as well, pike and shot and horse and musket in the not too distant future maybe as well. Let us know what you think below, folks. Hello everybody, we're back at Salute and we are here by an absolutely magnificent World War II board. I'm with a retired wargamer. Yep. You don't look like you're retired though.
Oh yeah, I retired years ago.
But not from wargaming, thankfully.
No.
Yeah. So Paul, what are we looking at here?
Okay, this is the final battle for Berlin. The game is set on the 29th of April, which is the day of the last Russian attack. The day after they took the Reichstag, so the Soviet flag went on top of the Reichstag. Hitler committed suicide and effectively the war was over. But this is their last Russian attack on the city centre.
And you've put together a board that must be the guts of 20 feet long?
18 feet. 18 feet long. And it would have been a little bit wider, but unfortunately they wouldn't postpone Salute until June to let us finish, which I thought was very unfair, really. But
I mean, it's the least they could do. It is a spectacular setup here. Yeah, so, how long did it take you to put this together as a
the concept was born at Salute last year, when we realised this year is the 80th anniversary of the Battle for Berlin, and April, of course. So we thought, well, we better do a Berlin game. The actual building, most of the buildings are 3D printed, so I've got 3 3D printers which have been working 24/7. In fact, 2 of them now have gone, nope, enough, I'm not working anymore. Probably about 9 months to build, and then 2.5 hours to put up this morning. This is the first time ever the game has been fully set up.
I mean, it looks absolutely spectacular. What is the game rule system that you're using then? Is it a bespoke one? Or
No, we're using Rapid Fire Reloaded, which is the usual World War II rule set we play. As there's only 2 of us here, myself and Larry down the bottom there, we aren't actually playing it today because we spend our time talking to people, because I firmly believe that's what demo games are about, talking to the public. Plus, we realised when we got here we hadn't brought the rules, we hadn't brought any dice, and we hadn't brought any tapes.
Well, that's another good reason not to run it as well.
It is.
So, whenever you are getting together to do something like this, is it because you're part of a club, or are you a group of friends? Or?
Group of friends. We've been a group of friends for years. Larry and I built the last 2 big show games. 2 years ago we did the big Carentan game. Last year we did the Pegasus Bridge game. This is really the last big show game that we're building, because it's a lot of money and a lot of time. And I want to play games.
But I mean, once you've got it completed, there's just so much gaming to be had there. Even if you're using a quarter of this, you've got such a large amount to play through. It looks absolutely spectacular. Can people see any of your other stuff anywhere? Like, do you have it online, or do you?
No, we don't have it online. But I mean, you've interviewed us before for Carentan, and probably for last year for so we're on there. I mean, the Carentan and the Pegasus Bridge boards no longer exist.
Well, they exist online, which means they're there forever, so people can always see them.
Little bits of them are sort of in places, but most of it has been repurposed, as they say.
I mean, it looks fantastic, and this is what Salute is all about for me. This is the ideal that most wargamers can never hope to imagine in its entirety, but we can always think we can do a part of that, and over time you can build up a collection that allow you maybe one day to come to Salute and put on something like this yourself.
One of the reasons we do it is one of the reasons I like to do it is to show people what you can do with 3D printing. This is the kind of standard, and it's not that hard. It's okay, it's time consuming, and some of the prints are 3 days. But printers don't always work, so.
But it does open up a whole new avenue for people to do specific areas of history where you need a a specific model in a scale, and you're going, well, nobody makes that currently. Well, these days you can find it. Somebody does, and even if it's not the right scale with 3D printing, it can be shrunk or expanded to your heart's content.
Well, a good example of that is Hannah Rush's Arado AR96. That the file for that is 1/200th scale.
Right.
So I just printed it at 200%. Came out perfectly.
Well, there you go. It's a fantastic thing. Hopefully you encourage a ton of people to take a look into historics. I know there's a diverse mob of people come to Salute, and this, I think, exemplifies what we want to see.
Well, the other thing is, where do you think 40K got their ideas?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, this is the granddaddy of them all in games terms, and as a showpiece to go out on, I think this is one of the best. We're going to push on and see what else there is to see here at Salute. Let us know what you think below. Okay, I'm here with Tim from the Gentleman's Wargames Parlour, and a very interesting, very British Civil War game. So, what have we here in the middle of green, verdant lands?
Well, it's awfully unsporting to actually go into combat. So what we're doing today is we're settling our differences over a game of cricket. Limited 10-over match between, we've got a BUF team, we've got a communist team, an Anglican League team, a whole range of different teams playing against one another with using cricket bats, but with event cards as well.
So have you changed the very British Civil War rules to account for the 10-over cricket game, or is there something that was baked in there?
There's no rules for VBCW, which is the beauty of it. Yeah. It's down to you how you play your own game. So what we're doing with this particular game is we've adapted a 1950s cricket game.
Yes.
And so we use the normal cricket rules for that, but if you pass on the event cards, we also at the end of each over have an event card. Okay. So draw an event card. Yes. And that'll tell you.
Down with the establishment. The pitch is invaded by the proletariat. Combat commences until all demonstrators are KO'd.
And so what will happen there is you'll end up in a firefight with a bunch of ne'er-do-wells, and if you happen to be fielding, you might end up with only 7 players left, which affects your batting for the next time. So it does stuff like that.
It's a fascinating way of adapting the game, and very unique, and that's one of the things I absolutely adore about Salute, are the quirky games that people put on. Because, you know, we often see massed armies slapping it out, like two sides of beef just going at it, but having a game of cricket to settle your differences with issues is a fascinating way of doing it. Who came up with the idea for it?
It was a combination of my fetid imagination and my colleague Grant's. We play off one another, which is bad news. We meet once a year at Salute to put a game on, and we just come up with things that we think, oh dear, we're not a good mix. We end up with quite a combination of things.
I mean, you say it's not a good mix, but I think it's absolutely superb. So if you only meet up once a year for Salute for this, then do you do gaming outside of this with a club? Or
I game with my own club. We'll game with different clubs. James is from Guildford Wargamers. I'm from Bognor Regis. Ewan's up in Scotland. It's a once a year settle up where we can all get ourselves together, meet up. We promoted the VBCW genre for about 15 years now. So it just is one of those things we can do every year, and it's just nice to be able to do it.
I mean, I love when clubs put something on, but the fact that we've got 4 different club members coming together to showcase just such a variety of games every year is just absolutely fantastic. I adore this. If people have any comments below, I'm looking forward to seeing what they think, and what team do you reckon is going to be the best at the batting average? Because I imagine the Anglicans will be right up there, but at the same time, I mean, communists are good at swinging implements around.
Well, unfortunately, the top scorer this morning, we've had all 6 teams have played, was going to be the BUF. They were 40 for 1 wicket, 3 overs in, 7 overs left, rain stopped play. So at the moment, unfortunately, it's Ethan's Anglicans are in charge at the moment. But yeah, we see how the rest of the afternoon plays.
Well, there you go. Rain's halted play, but not here at Salute. We're going to push on and see what else there's to see at the exit. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Warwick to talk about Soldiers of Napoleon, which is a spectacular game, one of which I've been waiting for a long, long time. But we'll get into that in a moment. you want to tell us a bit about what the game is you have lined up in front of us here?
Oh, right, yes. It's so we're playing the 1809 campaign. It's sort of Wagram-esque, so summer, somewhere near Vienna, an Austrian village under attack from the French. So Wagram-ish.
Okay. And it's absolutely packed full of miniatures. Who's responsible for all the painting that's going on
right,
here?
Okay, so the Austrian army is my army. Yep. That was my lockdown project. So I managed to come out of 2020 lockdown from nothing to having a finished Austrian army. And the French, the enormous amount of French, is my gaming buddy Andy's. Mm-hmm. This is about half of his actual collection of Frenchmen.
In some respects, that's awe-inspiring. In others, it's very depressing. I'm planning at some point in the not-too-distant future to just use WoW Fun. Just Peter Dennis's 10 mil. But speaking of...
That is the quickest way to do it.
Yeah. The game itself, then. So, a long time ago, I picked up Soldiers of God, Soldiers of Rome, and then I heard there was a Napoleonic version coming, and it was like, this is what I've been after. But it didn't come out exactly the same as those.
No.
Similar but different.
Yeah. Some similar design DNA, but a lot of it was changed. And just because the type of warfare, Napoleonic warfare, the sort of complexity of it. So I just wanted to boost the complexity of the game a bit. Still wanted it to be obviously the card driven and they're the heart of the game, but didn't the kind of it's got a lot more nuance throughout the game system, I think. Stuff like dealing with skirmishes that are within units and different types of cavalry and all that kind of stuff, and artillery and stuff. So it's similar, but it's not really the same game.
And the initial book contained a selection of armies for several of the coalition wars. But you've expanded it since then. There's a campaign system as well.
Yeah. So we've done the peninsula. You've kind of got to cover it. That's where the British are. And we did the earlier wars, the earlier coalition wars. We haven't got back to the Revolutionary Wars yet, although we'd like to go back that far. Yeah, and the campaign system is it's a sort of narrative campaign system, no maps involved and all that stuff. It just allows you to sort of string some battles together and your division to fight the enemy division over the course of, well, I'd say 5-6 battles, but you don't know. The campaign system, you just don't know how long it's going to last. A bit like a war, you kind of don't know. It might be over quick, it might take ages.
They tell me it'll all be over by Christmas, but I find that hard to believe.
They usually aren't.
No. If people want to find out more about Soldiers of Napoleon and the work you're doing, where should they look?
So Gripping Beast are the guys who stock Soldiers of Napoleon. They are the sole. I mean, they're sole distributor. Other people stock it, but Gripping Beast is where to go. They'll have all the books and the supplements that we've done, which are we tend to do scenarios for all the major battles. But we don't do them as one big battle because it's absurd to try to fight Austerlitz on one board. So we'll do like this village and this bit or here and this time and break up that battle, and you cover the entire battle and say 10 scenarios and that covers the day, Austerlitz. And we want to do some more of them as well. I've just finished the Ligny and Quatre Bras one. So like those two battles, which are sort of happening simultaneously, very close to each other. So that one that will be out, the next one done, and then I'd like to do one for Borodino. So a massive fight for Borodino. And then going forwards, there's a Revolutionary Wars book that we'd like to do as well. That's mostly written, I'd say, and more of those great battle ones. I haven't decided which though yet.
Well, there you go. Probably the best way is to track Warwick down and then tell him which battle he should be recreating.
You can find me. I'm on the Soldiers of Facebook page. I'm on the Battle Group Facebook page. So Facebook.
It's the way of the future. They tell me it's where the kids are.
It's where the old men are.
Don't tell me that. We're going to push on and see what else is here at Salute. Check out everything that Warwick's got his hand to, because they're fantastic systems for everything from World War II all the way back to your Crusades and your Ancients, all points north.
Thanks.
So
Glad you like them.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hello everybody, I'm here with Charles to talk about Omaha Beach, and not just a spectacular game, but now a Salute award-winning game as well.
Indeed, yes. No, I'm very proud. I've got the Best Participation Award here at Salute, so really pleased with that. That's a fantastic result.
So we've seen this morning when it was set up, and it was a thing of extravagant beauty. Can you tell us a bit about the board itself and the miniatures and how long it sort of took you to put this together?
Yeah, so the board itself is 16 feet long. It's made of 8 boards that are 3 feet deep and 2 feet wide. So it's about 4.9 metres for those that don't do Imperial. It's about 1/3 sea, 1/3 beach and 1/3 land. I've got 3D pre-printed beach defences, mostly glued in, with some areas where the players can kind of create gaps. It took me about 4 months worth of time to put together, and it's been recreated in as much detail as I possibly can. So I've used the original Bigot maps from D-Day themselves to actually get the contours and the placings of various defences, and I've used aerial photography that was taken by the RAF just prior to the battle, and actually sometimes on the day, for the layout of the fields and the woods and all of the German defences. And I've recreated all 4 miles of it in about 1 to 1300 ground scale.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've gone for such a small model size for large ground scale coverage is fantastic. What sort of rule set are you using for this, and how do you get the interplay between the landing and the ground force?
Okay, so the rule set I'm using is All Hell Let Loose, which was written by my best mate, David Vosilevsky. You can find it on Wargames Vault. It's a dedicated 6mm rule set. What I've done, and the way he crafted it, was that it's an infinitely customizable kind of game with a simple framework. So what I've done is kind of taken bits of that and kind of stripped some elements back, but then I've created additional pieces. So there are rules for how landing craft come in. There are rules for how troops land. There are elements where German artillery can have an effect at sea or on the land. And basically, a player sits down and they take control of a 2-foot section wide of beach, which corresponds to one of the main beach sections that they use during the actual landings. And they actually conduct both the American landing movement and the German fire against their own troops. Okay. So basically what we've done is put in a programmed sequence of for the turn, so everything happens in a set order, and as the Americans come in, the Germans respond to that, and the player undertakes and adjudicates the German actions on the Americans, and they kind of move up. So I give the players a kind of a simple brief, which is mostly for games at a war game show. Yeah. Your sole job is to get to the top of the beach and lie down and hunker down to stop the Germans shooting at you. And so it's a very, very simple game and strategy from that point of view. And everything just kind of falls from the turn sequence. And so people that have played more than 2 or 3 turns actually understand how the game works. They get all the cards, they get all the dice and things, and they kind of get to play it out themselves and kind of run it. And so it's really great. One person can adjudicate for about 3 or 4 people whilst they're learning, and that's it.
Yeah. How has it been going today then? Have the Allies made much progress?
So the Allies are on schedule, which is to say they're still getting slaughtered, unfortunately. The easiest beach to land on is at the far eastern side, and that's Fox Green. And some troops that landed even further along in front of a cliff on Fox Red have just about made it onto the actual battlefield, and the Fox Green player is now contemplating making his first foray off the beach. And again, he's broadly on schedule in terms of the time that things took place. But realistically, the game is run at the shows, so people can experience the horror of landing at Omaha. And so most people only stay for like 2 or 3 turns. And what they get to experience then is the landing craft coming under artillery fire, the landing craft beaching, sometimes in deep water, sometimes in shallow water, troops coming off the landing craft, drowning, managing to make it ashore, and then the troops just getting hit by incoming German fire as they struggle up the beach. And hopefully what we're allowing people to do is kind of the way I kind of pitch it, is that this is the closest thing to being there since Saving Private Ryan came out. And so the idea is just really experience the horror of the landing rather than in a normal war game, which is achieve the objective. But I can tell you that when we kind of played this through and got to the points where people are getting off, they are absolutely delighted, and they are really going for the Germans in the beach defences because they've taken so much pain at that point. Yeah. So it's really satisfying when they do make it off.
Have you put this together just as something to show off the game system at shows yourself, or is it part of a club effort? Or
no, so this is something I've kind of put together myself. I designed it, built it myself. I kind of run it with my 2 kids. So my 2 eldest sons come here and run it with me. And I've got a bunch of gamers that I game with regularly. They came in and did some of the play testing, and they've come and played at a couple of the shows. But no, this is mostly just me, and that's it.
It's an absolutely sensational board. It looks like it's a fantastic setup to play on, and clearly people have had an awful lot of enjoyment having won the best participation game. So I think this is one of the great things about historical wargaming, showing people how it actually panned out and moving beyond the Hollywoodism and the very dry numbers, and actually experiencing what it was like, how devastating it was to make a landing like this or to fight in action. Fantastic stuff. Hopefully people at home have enjoyed a look at this board, because it is absolutely magnificent. We're going to push on and see what else there is to see. Hello everybody, I'm back at Salute, this time at Lasting Games with Armin, and this is a game that I was warned to come and find by several people, one that I'd spotted myself and I wanted to come and find anyway, which is Butcher and Bolt. But first off, what is Lasting Game? Is this a new company, or have you been doing anything for a bit?
Well, firstly, that's nice to hear, Jerry. Thanks very much. But yes, Lasting Games is a newly formed gaming company. And we're effectively rolling out our first game, Butcher and Bolt. It's a skirmish, miniature, agnostic war game of daring raids and covert operations in World War II. And in a nutshell, it's a sandbox toolkit that people can use to recreate absolutely, and that's been a design objective of mine, any World War II raid and covert operations they've researched on, they've read about, or indeed if they want to reproduce their favorite movie as well, that's all doable and possible with this rule set. That's the design objective, and I think so far I'm pleased to say that it's working rather well.
So I see there are D10 on the table. What sort of mechanic system are you using then?
Right, so with the spirit of keeping the rules historically plausible, I wanted to make sure at this zoomed-in perspective, at this scale of the game, we create that friction, that chaos rather, and that tension really that I ideally want all players who play this game feel. Because as we know, no commander raid was done in a vacuum. It's almost always has been against all odds, and so I want people to feel that tension, but also for the other side as well. Mechanically, it's an amalgamation of a few different systems as well as obviously my own creation. So as is usually the case, I suppose. It's a mix of cube activation draw as well as cards. And the way that works, being a skirmish game, each model is activated individually. So each model will have a number, and that number will have a corresponding order card that is numbered as well. So at the orders phase of each turn, you'll be basically stacking up, creating your order deck, as it were, effectively trying to coordinate with your teammates as to who's going to go when and how. and you stack that up, that's represented with the cards, face down. The number of cards you have in the order deck will correspond with the number of activation cubes of your color that goes into the activation bag. And then, of course, your opponent is doing exactly the same. So you don't know, you know somewhat which of your models will be activated before which, but you don't know when they will be activated. And that creates that friction and tension, because as you coordinate, of course, nothing goes to plan, as we know. Now, to add a little more uniqueness to the whole activation system as well, there's almost always additionally 2 white cubes that go into the activation cube. When the first one is drawn, it's a moment of respite, and you can then reshuffle as you take a breather and understand the situation, reshuffle your non-discarded order deck, and that will obviously give you an opportunity to reflect and adapt on the go. When the second white activation cube is drawn, the turn ends, and that effectively means some of your models will not be activated that turn. You also don't know, frankly, how long the turn will last each time, because it's very much objectives-based game.
It's a relatively tight, claustrophobic board. I mean, that's probably about 3 foot by 2.5, maybe over there. You're only playing with a small model count on each side, then I assume.
So effectively, we've got 4 actually game sizes that players can choose to, and they don't have to be symmetric at all. So again, we're trying to recreate those historical raids. They never were symmetric, and we shouldn't have it, I think, on our tabletops either for this particular genre of games. So. In terms of sizes, we've got small, medium, large, and very large. Very large games are usually multiplayer affairs, so multiple players per side. With small, so between small and large, the model count would vary anywhere between 5 and 30 models per side. But because the game is quite dynamic in its flow and action, we feel like the recommended table size for my playtesting, at least, has been for small games, certainly 4x4, not more than that. For medium and large, certainly you could go 6x4 and more. And again, keeping with historical plausibility, there is no artificial restrictions on line of sight in terms of range. We have point blank, short range, effective range, long range, and extreme range. Yeah. That effectively means your models will always see throughout the battlefield, subject to other restrictions such as weather, night, etc., etc. And there's loads of those as well. So.
It sounds absolutely fascinating. I do like a game, especially a World War II skirmish game, where bullets don't just travel 6 inches and then fall out of the air. When we're playing 28mm games, the artificial reduction in range, I think, is I wouldn't say it's a crutch, but it often makes people more aggressive than they should be in a game because they know their opponent can't reach them, whereas in reality they are easily within range of most firearms in World War II at these sort of scales as well. When are you planning on launching the game, and how are you planning on launching it?
So the game has been in the works for quite some time. It's been on and off, a labour of love. I think pretty much the rules are ready. We are in the final stages of playtesting. I'm pushing hard to get all the files completed by hopefully around September, October, and we'll probably do a pre-order for the game around September, October as well. We're not quite sure if it's going to be a crowdfunding or direct pre-order system, but that's again there just to gauge the order numbers really, and everything will be ready for mass production shortly thereafter, and hopefully within months of that the fulfillment will happen as well, and people should have the game in their hands very shortly after that. I really don't like myself as a backer of many games to wait too long, so the game is definitely moving at a very fast pace towards completion, and it's, to be honest, in a very playable mode right now as we speak.
And where can people find out more?
So we're lostingames.com. You can sign up there for the launch for our newsletter, but I suppose more importantly, we've got a private Facebook group as well called Butcher and Bolt, as well as our public Lost in Games page as well. You can be redirected from there as well. But I think considering that it's only been about a week we've gone online with the game, the momentum has been growing. We've got a very nice community now coming together, discussing all sorts of projects now. And again, of course, with a skirmish game like this, the possibility and opportunity for creating fantastic looking boards is immense, and I think that's another thing I obviously like about this game. But yeah, Facebook Butcher and Bolt private group is probably the best place to be if you want to know about the rules and obviously get more news as they come out of my mind and my typing fingers, I suppose.
There you go, folks. Definitely one to look out for. I know it's one that's starting to pick up a lot of attention in a very short amount of time. And if you've got the idea of doing Saint Nazaire, or maybe you fancy being a hero of Telemark, then this could be the ideal way to try and blow up a hardware plant up in Norway. And let us know what you think below, and keep an eye out for them online as well. Hello everybody, I'm here with Jürgen. I've stopped over at the Bello Ludi set because it's a range of games that I really enjoy, and I want to have a talk to you about the World War II game that you've put on here today. So what can people see here in front of them?
What we have tried to recreate is Oosterbeek. It's a small town near Arnhem. And on this side you see the British powers. And there was in these days there was a counter-attack from the Germans. So that's the other side. And the powers did try to hold their position. So that's what we try to recreate here. Okay. Yeah.
Now, the World War II rules are slightly different from some of the original Bello Ludi rules. There's a bit more depth in there as far as individual sort of characteristics and mechanics. What can you tell us about how the World War II game plays, and then we'll talk about sort of the Bello Ludi rules in more general after.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because we evolve as writers.
Yes.
And we evolve in playing, of course, and then you try to get more depth in it, like you say it, because sometimes rules in other systems, if you play them afterwards, you think, oh, that's a little bit too easy. So, and of course, the Second World War is complicated, because you have lots of vehicles, you have lots of technique, which will influence the battle that you play. So it's correct. So we evolve, so our system evolves too. Although the basic is more or less the same with the dice, of course, and giving the commands. However, if you want to make it more difficult, your games, then there's a lot of stuff behind the basic rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to the dice, then, for people to get an idea of how it plays, it's a D20 die, but it's marked off 1, 2, 3, and B for blunder.
A 0, 4 zeros and a blunder, and then 5 1s, 2s, and 3s. So you have a 75% chance of that you have orders. So you have 1, 2, or 3 orders. Sometimes 0, so they don't understand each other, and sometimes a blunder, and then something happens that you don't want. So that's the fog of war. Yeah, and we played it. You point the unit that you want to activate, and then you throw the dice, and then you can do whatever you can do. Yeah. And we, in the book, it's still written "I go, you go" by the whole army, but in reality, we always play "I go, you go" by unit. Yeah. So it is much more interactive.
Yeah, a lot more of a flow between it. I remember the original rules being written. They talked about the fact it was almost something that could be used for team building exercises with non-wargamers, and it was a very simple way of picking that up to get the sort of the commands, and that is still a solid concept within even the World War II game. The other thing that is involved are the use of the little cards as well, which are a nice extra. You don't have to lay them on top, but they add a lot of fun to it.
Yeah, what we played a lot of management games, and then what we saw was that if one side was playing, the other side started chatting. And then we invented these cards. So you have the good cards, good for you, the bad cards, bad for the other side. And we gave everybody 1 or 2 cards. And then everybody was involved, because you can do something at any moment. And for us, we also like to play with that, because no game is the same. Yeah. No game is the same. So it was the first intention was to activate everybody, but now we say, well, if you want to play a different game and try to annoy each other, it's fun. Yeah, it's not necessary, but it's fun, like you say. Yeah.
I think they're a great system to pick up, and the range is extensive now, from colonial wars, ancients, Napoleonics, World War II, probably more that I haven't thought about.
It's going up now to Vietnam. We have Vietnam, and Kalashnikov is the last one.
Okay.
And that was a difficult one because you have drones, etc.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of thinking about letting the system work, but that's not too complicated. Still, we try to make it not too complicated. However, it is a little bit complicated. So I think our first rule book was about 22 pages, and the last one is 36. But we still try to keep the system easy. However, the way of fighting wars is more complicated. So that reflects a little bit in our system. Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense. If people want to track down the rules, where should they look for them?
Of course, we are on the internet, belloludi.com. Here in the UK, Caliber Books sells our products, so then you don't have the stuff at the borders. And we also have that in the US. So we sell worldwide, and you can also buy PDFs. But you still need the dice.
Yeah.
Of course, you need the dice to play it. Yeah.
It's definitely one to check out, because I have 3 of them at home currently. I think it's a really fantastic system, especially for running convention games and club games, where you may have a load of people there who maybe don't play a specific theatre or genre, and being able to get them on the table and get them playing very quickly with a very solid but simple set of rules that's a lot of fun. It's a great way to do it. We're going to move on and see what else we can find here at Salute for you guys, but check out Bella Ludi.
Hello everybody, I am here at Salute. I am here with Mike from Tales from the Periphery. That's a BattleTech podcast,
That's correct. That's the UK BattleTech podcast. It used to be the only one, but we have 2 now, apparently.
Ooh, so someone's trying to steal your thunder?
Come and listen to the next episode of this one, and you'll find out who the other one is.
Fair enough. Well, hang on. You might have a war.
No, they're a reasonable bunch of guys. Youngsters.
So, you guys are here at Salute with a rather lovely-looking BattleTech setup. What have you got?
Yeah, so I'm actually wearing my hat as a Catalyst demo agent, Catalyst who make BattleTech. This used to be our 6mm I Ain't Been Shot Mum D-Day table. Oops, sorry, 80. And we decided that given that in BattleTech lore there is a fight on Terror in 3151 in this rough area, we thought we'd repurpose the table.
Fair. I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Which of the BattleTech rule sets are you using?
We're using Alpha Strike, which is the fast play, speedy. I mean, there's 35 mechs on this table.
Wow.
Compared to the classic game over there at the other end of the show, which I think they've got about 8 aside.
Well, again, it's the 2 styles of game, because you've got the old school where it's that nice granular, big, crunchy, chunky.
Yeah, it's big and crunchy. It's individual hit locations, individual pips of armour. Whereas this abstracts away to you have a firefighter at short, medium, and long. You have a bunch of armour pips and a bunch of internal structure pips, and I've just basically explained to you how the game works. We reckon that we can teach someone the basic rules in 3.5 minutes.
That's fair.
And Dan over here is running a teaching game, same set of rules, 4 mechs aside. We're turning through people every 35 to 40 minutes.
That's damned impressive. Again, BattleTech is one of those universes where there's so much breadth that you can dive into. Where would you recommend someone has as a jump-off point?
Ooh, to play or to learn?
Let's go with both.
To play. Rob, can you pass me Game of Armored Combat? Yep.
Recommendation?
Partly recommending this because it's easy to get hold of. And your camera will notice eventually. This basically 8 mechs, the stat sheets, the starter rules for the classic game, but it also comes with the mech cards for Alpha Strike, and the basic Alpha Strike rules are a free download.
Perfect.
So that costs you 50, 55 quid depending on who you buy it from.
So nice, easy, dip your toe in.
Yeah, so that gets you gets your toe in. I wouldn't go for the beginner boxes. They only have 2 mechs and a very, very cut down set of the rules. The annoying thing is they have 2 mechs you can't get anywhere else, of course.
That old chestnut.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we've been recommending this to folks. Element Games had 8 copies on their stall. They've gone.
So the 0 now.
Yeah, leisure games, I don't know how many they had, they've got 4 left. Well, they had 4 left half an hour ago, they may not now.
See, there's something I like whenever you as someone who is running a demo can guide someone going, look, you really enjoyed that, if you want it, here's a trader at the show that you can go and grab it from.
I mailed Element Games about 2 months ago and said, we're going to be right next to you, please bring some stock. And it's been quite difficult to get stock in the UK, but things have just freed up.
Yeah.
And Asmodee, who are the regular stockists, have started having stock again. And so Element Games got a whole lot of stuff, Leisure Games have got a whole lot of stuff, and we're best pointing people at the game as it goes.
All right, so narrative side of things. Where are people going to jump in?
You're too late for the really good way of getting in, which was the Humble Bundle with all the novels in it, which was all. Start with the Grey Death Legion trilogy, Decision at Thunder Rift, and the 2 sequels, and go and find the list on Goodreads that tells you what the reading order, and work through those, because they will get you immersed in the lore. And when you get to about the 10th or 11th, there's 2 Michael Stackpole trilogies. There's the what are they called now? There's a 30 odd set trilogy, and there's the Clan Invasion trilogy. Once you've got to those, you'll know what you like, and there are more books to buy, more books to read. And yeah, basically from there on in, the world's your oyster. There's about 120 books, a massive pile of soft books, of which I haven't got all by any means.
I'm sure that's probably on the bucket list.
Being a demo agent, I get certain access privileges, but under normal circumstances, yeah, I'd picking things up as they turn up sitting down. The other thing to remember about BattleTech is that certainly as far as Classic is concerned, the Hex version, the rules have hardly changed in 40 years. If you played it 30 years ago, you're going to find it very, very familiar.
So you can dive right back in?
Yeah, and if you're a wargamer rather than a board gamer, you'll find Alpha Strike is a really easy learn and a really fun game.
All right, well, Mike, thank you very much for talking to me. Everybody, this looks fantastic. BattleTech is one of those universes that I love just because I love big stompy robots, like we all do, but it's also the depth and narrative you can go into, which I love as well. But tell you what, drop your comments below, I'll move on, and I'll see what else I can find at Salute.
All right, folks, we're here at Salute, and we're going to be looking at this absolutely amazing setup that we think has won Best Sci-Fi and Fantasy board.
It's fantasy on the other side.
Which we'll talk about in a second. So this is Tim from Magrathea, Builders of Worlds, and can you talk us through this? I mean, it's a massive, huge Judge Dredd setup that has taken you a while to do. Yeah,
it started kind of August last year. I got into Judge Dredd. I've always been into Judge Dredd. My problem with Judge Dredd games is that when you see them most of the time in online or in magazines or where else, they're always played at street level.
Yeah.
And to me, Dredd is about blocks, the mega city blocks, which are living towns, cities, all in high-rise. And coming to a show like Salute, which is proper busy today, as soon as you get a number of people around a table, you can't see what's going on when it's all low down. So I wanted to make some games that had a lot of height in them, and Dredd seemed to be the perfect kind of solution. The difficult thing is when you book into Salute, because it's such a massive show, I'd imagine that the organising of the show is huge, right? Yeah. So you have to book the show in August, and in August last year, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. So I wrote a few lines to fill in the
strike.
form, and right, we're going to do this thing, and I gave it a really vague name, like I think it was What Lies Beneath or something, because I wanted this depth, but I didn't know what it's going to look like. And then I started doing some drawings and bits and pieces. I'd made a couple of the units, the HAB units, because I luckily found these little drawer units that I could convert into houses, into apartments. And then I had this bonkers idea to use Kallax furniture from IKEA, clever cubes from Homebase, because they'll stack really nicely and I could get this height in it. And then, I got together with the guys who I'm here with, our gaming group, Spirit of the Game, which is, we're a collective of dads and lads, really, as opposed to a regular wargaming group. And I kind of explained this to them just before Christmas, and the collective expression on people's faces was, what on earth are you talking about? The video of that was hilarious. And then I really started this February, I think. It's a 12-week project to make this and the Boroughs and Badgers game on the other side. So this game has got two separate starter scenarios. We've got a shootout in a car park laid down in Jimmy Kimmel block on the 31st floor. And all the characters have to do is the perps have to get out the crash van and make it escape into the block before Judge catches him. And then over here on this table, this is a shootout in a shopping mall. We've got three perps who have just robbed the Ugly Clinic over there, and again they have to get past the judge and flee. And then the rest of it is all kind of eye candy, really. So the backdrop's painted by my brilliant wife, and then the monorail and everything else up the top is really there to give it that height and give people something to look at if they can't get anywhere near the games. So it's been a real team effort. The guys have designed and 3D printed the legs to hold the table up.
I thought they were like camera legs or something.
No, they're the plastic tube. All the feet have been Gary and Harry around somewhere. Harry of Fabled Faye and his dad Gary designed the legs and printed them for us, and the dice towers. So this dice tower over here actually comes out. It's a really beautiful spiral dice tower, but I wanted it in the middle of the table. I've never been a fan of dice towers, to be quite honest, but actually at a show,
and when they're in world as well,
when they're in world, it works really, really well. So those kind of things it's been everybody's chipped in. I'm absolutely delighted with it.
And it's a good way of playing out essentially intro games, but with a little bit more spice, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, intro games can look really dull, you know, because you only want 4 figures and a scattering of terrain, and the Judge Dredd world is so
colourful and wild.
Exactly, and eye-catching. It should all be there, and I wanted to capture some of that. So from that point of view, that was. I think I've managed to do it kind of all right. Certainly how I kind of like see a lot of Judge Dredd. So
shall we go around the other side as well and have a look at the other? Let's go. Yeah, because there's another game here as well that we're going to look at. So Boroughs and Badgers is a massive favourite of mine, and you can just about see it here through the people. But you've done exactly the same thing again and built up multiple layers for like intro games of Boroughs and Badgers.
Yeah, so I've been a big champion of Boroughs and Badgers. People who watch my YouTube channel, with them, lots of people who play B&B because of me. I fell in love with this game about 7 years ago. The first edition was terrific, and Oathsworn Miniatures are a cracking company, small, family-run company, really bothered about customer service. They're lovely people, and it's a great game. And what I like about it is it's a sandbox, so I can play an awful lot and come up with a lot of my own ideas. I don't have to stick to the comic book.
Because Michael's built up like Northumbria, but beyond that, it's very open, isn't it?
And we're a southern-based group. You know, I live in Essex, so our campaign's set in the city of Ludi.
Oh, that's cool.
And East Anglia. And what I wanted to do with this was to get the clues in the name, right? Boroughs and Badgers. So we wanted to play games in the boroughs, underground. So on the top level, we've got the city of London, which is under siege at the moment from the King Brithnorth's army from Anglia. But we've got all this action going on down below as well. And I've got to hand it to the guys I'm with, the Spirit of Game guys. They're absolutely brilliant. They've been playing games all day long. This is the 3rd year they've come with me to this show. And in 3 years, I have not rolled a dice all day. When I used to come to these shows, I've been doing Salute for 20 odd years.
You've just been able to relax.
I've been running games. I've spent all day talking to people. It's been so nice having people who watch my videos. When I started my YouTube channel during the pandemic, mostly because my wife badgered me into it for my own mental health. It was something to do because my work had dried up, stopped, and that kind of thing. And then when I started meeting people who watched my channel during the pandemic, I went to actually the Selwig show after the pandemic, and I had people come up to me saying, your videos got me through the pandemic, which was a really weird thing. I never expected that to be the thing, and I felt really humbled about it. And ever since then, I just carried on going. And it still delights me and surprises me when people come up to me and thank me for what I'm doing. But it's been lovely today. I've had people showing me the models they make because of the models that I make. And I don't get to watch many YouTube channels, so I don't really know what the comparisons are, but I like to think mine are pretty honest. I show all the mistakes and all the errors and going back and going down creative cul-de-sacs.
That's what people need, isn't it? So, don't let it get you down when things aren't going right and all that kind of stuff.
That's the hobby, you know. Even people I've been playing tabletop games for 40 years, I still make a mess of it when I'm making a model. I really like that kind of feel to it. So I'm just kind of like this middle-aged hairy bloke, fat hobby Gandalf, sat in his workshop cutting himself every now and then with Stanley knives and swearing, and then every now and then scenery appears out of it, and
boom
and here we are at a show. And I'm delighted we won best sci-fi or fantasy game.
And
exactly, yeah, because they're both. So, but that's mostly down to my mates who are running these games today, because they've been absolutely brilliant.
Every time we've walked past this, it has been just chock-a-block full of people playing and having fun, which is the main thing you want out of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so satisfying. It really, really is. Because but I don't make anything for a show. I use the show as a deadline, because it's a really good way to get things completed. But all of this is for use at home, use when we get together and play our games. Because I don't have the space and the time to build stuff just to take to a wargaming show. I need to have it so we can kind of use it all the time.
Something else and all that kind of thing.
And then it packs up really well. All the scenery that's in those units, they stay in that unit, so it all goes into the van like that. So we only have to strip the stuff off the top, it all goes home too. So for that, but God knows where I'm going to put it all when I get it home.
So, have you thought about what you're going to try and do next year?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell us?
No.
God damn it. You'll have to watch his YouTube channel to find out.
Dirty sci-fi with big figures. It's going to be cool. It's
super cool.
A system that I'm writing with a couple of the guys. It'll be interesting to see. So that's what we're aiming for here. We're probably going to take the Judge Dredd stuff to colours later this year, and hopefully the other partisan as well, maybe. I wasn't going to bring B&B at all this year, but it's only a conversation with Michael Lovejoy last summer about when the second edition was coming out, and he said he was hoping it was going to be for Salute, and I was like, well, it'd be rude not to.
Got to do it.
Not to bring B&B here, and there are so many B&B players here today. It's been absolutely brilliant.
So, well, thank you very much, man. That was a fantastic chat. Make sure to come and check out the channel. It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
And we'll catch you guys soon.
Cheers.
Hello everybody, I'm here with Michael from the Ashford Gaming Club, and we're going to be talking about the unusual game of Space Hulk that's before us. So it's great to see you here once again with another spectacular looking board after the majestic one from last year. Can you tell us what is going on?
So this is Crypt Hulk, and this was born out of one too many eBay rescue videos watched on YouTube, where somebody had bought a game for X amount and was trying to put it all back together again. And I thought, you can start from scratch. All you really need is to find a fan page site that will give you, the PDF rules and a list of what was in the box, and you could recreate it from scratch. And if you're going to do that, then you can make some changes. Why not? In my particular case, I decided, well, why have Terminators and G-Stealers? Why not have Witch Hunters versus werewolves? I might have watched Van Helsing a bit too often, no?
I don't think there's any such thing as watching Van Helsing too often. It's an amazing film and should have got a sequel.
Oh, yes, I loved it. And, so did that. I think I then spent ages teaching myself how to redesign all these parts on Tinkercad, which is free software available to anybody for teaching CAD design and all that. And yes, with a 3D printer and a very understanding wife, you too can create this.
Did you light it all up as well?
Yes, that's me, a pair of pliers and 40 battery-powered tea lights, just ripped apart and repurposed.
It looks absolutely sensational. I love that. It's a stunning example of what you can do with it. I mean, Space Hulk is a classic system for a reason, because it works really well. It's a solid system, and like you say, it doesn't have to be monsters in this far future. It can easily be monsters in our not too distant past.
Yes.
Behind us we have another magnificent edifice.
So Ben, our walking spreadsheet here, decided he was going to go big this time again, because he did the Epic game last time.
Yeah, I went big but small last time round. So I did a nice big Epic board last time with lots of Tyranids, wasn't it?
Yes.
And this time I decided, what haven't I painted out of my collection of things that needs painting? The Skaven and the Sengoku Jidai feudal Japanese castle. So here is feudal Japanese castle and some Skaven attacking it, which is going very well for the Skaven. They've got a burn.
Takeshi's castle is Terati's castle.
And Terati has actually gone. He's murdered his way up that side, and they're getting ready to burn the keep, which will win the game. Yeah. So it's going well for the Skaven today.
Well, I mean, that's always good to hear. And I do like the idea of tiny little rat ninjas attacking samurai. Are you responsible for all the 3D printing then as well?
I am. My poor Ender 3 has printed this entire table. I think it's the tree guy who's normally here at Salute, but he's not here this time round. All the trees are his. but everything else on the table that's not a model, so the keeps, the gatehouses, that's all 3D Alien Worlds feudal samurai designs, and it took 3 months to print the keep, and then it took another 6 months on and off, not as long as the keep, to print the rest. So all the raised castle is little squares with surface on the top of them. It is modular, however I've decided to make it easier to transport today. I have glued a lot of it together so it's smaller chunks.
I mean, that's the best thing. Take something that's modular and then remove the modularity from it. If people are looking to find you out in the wild, where can they find your club?
The club's got its own Facebook page, Ashford Gaming Club. If you find that logo on the Facebook site, you found the right Ashford Club. And that's basically it.
And where do you meet and how often?
We meet every Tuesday evening from about 6 till 10 at the Elwick Club in Ashford Town Centre.
Well, there you go, folks. If you want to get involved with them, if you're in the area, it's definitely worth popping by. Every year they put on a hell of a spread for Salute, and this year's no different. We're going to push on and see what else there is here at the show. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Bunny from Anschluss Wargames in front of a fantastic-looking epic Tobruk board, and I've been told you're responsible for most of what we see here. So, first off, what game is presented here?
This is the Easter attack, the very first attack by the German Afrika Korps on the fortress of Tobruk in Easter weekend 1941. Essentially, the Germans had landed in Tripoli about a month beforehand, had overextended their advance and had bounced onto the perimeter of Tobruk. And they launched a rapid, without really considered or reconnaissance attack. And they came up against the Australians. Now, the Australians had been pushed back and were determined not to be pushed back anymore. So they became quite bloody-minded.
If I remember correctly, there were captured Italian guns that the Australians were taught how to fire by their artillerymen. Absolutely. And they were blind sighting at German tanks.
Correct. Yeah, they used 75mm howitzers that were Italian. In fact, some of them were even World War I Austrian. Right. And 20mm breeder autocannon, which were very, very useful in taking out the infantry and the light armour that the German had at the time. Yeah.
So what rule system are you using for this then?
We use our own rules. We've come up with our own rules, the War on the Ground rules by Anschluss Publishing. And what we do is we've set the rules as a minimum quantity of information in the rules to keep them as simple as possible, and all the actual special rules that suit scenarios go in the scenario books, so that the books, the actual rule book, is kept simple, straightforward and easy to learn and pick up for new gamers and seasoned gamers themselves.
Now we're looking at, like I say, a small scale epic encounter here. Is that the sort of standard ground scale that the rules are written for, or is it flexible?
The rules are written for a 1mm to 1 metre ground scale. The vehicles and bases that you see are 1-for-1. So one vehicle is an individual vehicle. One base of normally 8 infantry is a section or a squad, depending on the nationality, because obviously they would be left out of battle and casualties that would take place before an engagement. So it's 1-for-1. So it is actually what you see on the table is what you would get. And because of the 12mm scale, you get the visual appeal of lots of tanks and infantry, but you don't get the cluttered feel.
Yeah, nobody wants to see a car park advancing across the tabletop. Who has put this board and forced together then? Is this your work, or has it been a concerted effort?
Guilty as charged, yeah. 2 months of work here. Mainly myself, I'd say 90%, with 1 or 2 helps where I needed moving boards and bits and pieces. But yeah, the majority was my own work.
It's a fantastic looking board. I'm assuming some of the field fortifications and trench works and that sort of thing are historically accurate, and they've been plucked from photos?
The actual layout, the actual map, as with all our scenarios, is based on either battlefield maps that were hand-drawn at the time, on aerial photos, and where that's no longer possible, on the actual the interpretation of current aerial photographs. So what you see on this is what actually was on the battlefield, to the extent that we actually had a veteran came up when we first fielded this, and his father was actually wounded in one of the gun positions on this table.
I mean, that is a level of historical accuracy most of us can only dream about. If people want to check out the game itself, where should they look for it?
It's actually in our latest scenario book on the Western Desert. This copy I've got here for you. Forgotten Battles, the Desert War. It came out latter part of last year. It deals with the early part of the Desert War from June 1940 to April 1941. And there will be another edition that will come out that will actually take over from this, follow on from this. It gives you around 20 scenarios, of which this is honestly one of the bigger ones. It's one of the bigger scenarios. We would normally have a mix in the book of platoon-sized games right the way through to battle group-sized games, so that the new gamer doesn't have to invest in a battalion of panzers to have a good game. He can actually have a game with a few tanks and a few infantry and still get a good game out of the rules.
So they can just ease themselves into the collection easily and actually start to play quicker than having to worry about fielding a battalion or division in one go. So people can find your stuff at anschlusswargames.com online.
Yes.
And if you've been impressed by this, you should definitely check out the rules. I know I will be, because this is the sort of grand scale that I absolutely adore. Let me know what you think below, folks. I'm going to push on and see what else we have to see at Salute. Okay, I'm here with Emperor Ming. Some may call him the Merciless, but they'll only call him it once, from the Ilford Games Club. And there is a spectacular rocket ship game going on in front of us. Do you want to tell us a bit about what we're looking at here and what game you're running today?
Of course. First I will say, greetings Earthling. Welcome to the Rocketeer's Guide to Rocket Ships. What we have here is tactical space warfare in 1950s retro future. And it's all about recreating the battles of Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers in a simple, elegant game mechanic that does not require charts, multiple rules. By turn 3 or 4, you should know the rules. And right now, we have got the beta version available for free on Cults 3D. And if you go to the YouTube channel, you should be able to download the rules for free. And also for free, I will be giving away 5 Class 3 rocket ships, one for each of the races, for you to just print and play right now.
Nice. I noticed the game is presented on a lovely hex map now.
Yes.
Is it hex-based, or is it just because that was the map that you had?
Well, in the true tradition of quantum mechanics, yes and no.
Good.
Right, the game is written and developed to be played on a plain flat surface, because most people have plain flat space.
Yes.
Right, however, the game mechanics are elegantly designed to fit exactly onto a hex mat. And hence, we're showing you here, on this one table, you can do it on hexes.
Yes.
And therefore, you don't need rulers, so that goes out the window.
Good.
And on the other side, in Phrygia, we're doing it on a plain mat.
Okay. So showing the rule system is fairly flexible then, depending on, you don't have to go looking for the more bespoke hex map if you find that difficult to find. Any relevant mat or flat surface will do you.
Absolutely. That's why the rules have been developed for a flat surface. However, like I said, because the mechanics are engineered in such a fashion, they will lend themselves automatically to a hex-based game, which there are plenty of people with hex mats. The old Star Trek Starfleet Battles people will readily have these available, but there are such pretty mats available these days, and I don't want the player to be limited to having hexes.
Which is, it's a good way of doing it. What sort of mechanics are the games run on, and what sort of fleet sizes are we going to be looking at? Is it going to be sort of a very Flash Gordon adventure-esque where you maybe only have a small number of ships per side, or can you go really big?
Right, well, the game is recommended between 6 to 8 ships a side. So you have a smallish force, but it's not 1 or 2 rockets. And you can go big, but that just depends how good a friend you're playing with is. But no, joking aside, you can expand it. We've played this with multiple players and we've increased the size, but that's when we know the rules and we're quite good at it now. But 6 to 8 players will give you a game in 90 minutes. and that's the crux of it. The game is designed, like I said, to be very simple. I don't want you looking in the book.
Yeah.
Everything you need is going to be on the actual rocket ship console.
Okay.
This is just a simple print-friendly one.
Yeah.
I'll have a posher, better-looking one with gear sticks on it and cogs, or not. And that will be where all you will need to look at.
Yeah. And it's a D10-based system then as well?
Yes. Because a lot of quantum physics is involved in this, no cats were harmed during the making of these rules.
Good.
Okay.
Schrödinger would be proud.
Good. So we have D10, which does most of the hitting. And we use a D10's pointy bit as a random direction sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
Because we have something called a sentient cloud, which is a cloud with attitude. And it moves in random directions using the D10, the number and the pointy thing. Weapon penetration and damage is on a D10. When missiles hit, they do D6 damage.
Okay.
When the death ray hits, it does D6 damage, and as it bores its way into the ship, it'll do a further D3.
Oh, okay.
And that's the only 2 dice I want in the game. There's no bespoke dice, your regular D10s, your regular D6s.
Which is a handy thing to have. A lot of gamers already have them in their collections.
Yeah.
How long have you been developing this, and has it been in conjunction with the Games Club then?
Yes, 2 years ago, I was watching Flash Gordon on television, and I said to myself, why aren't I wargaming this? This is our genre, to wargame this. So I looked around, there was no rules. And so I thought, well, I'm a wargamer, I'm going to write me a system, write a game. And it just so happened that that's when the 3D printing market just exploded.
Yeah.
So I taught myself a program and thought, I can make these ships. Then I had another drink, and I thought, I can definitely make these ships. And so I took a Babylon 5-Star Trek game I wrote ages ago, and it was okay, but somehow the movement system was so intuitively correct for the rocket ship game that, 2 and 2 made 222. And it just expanded from that. So currently I've designed 5 races: the Imperial Zom, the Draconians, the Sharkons, and the Eaglemen, and the humans, who've just discovered a crashed Imperial Zom rocket ship in Antarctica and decided to retrograde it to their own race. So we joined the game when they've just tentatively stepped into the wider universe and realised that everyone's out to get them.
It's a harsh lesson, but one that they need to learn. If people are wanting to find out more about the Rocketeer's Guide to Rocket Ships, what is the website, or where should they be looking?
Right. At this moment in time, what you need to do is go to YouTube and Google miniature or YouTube Mitra Miniatures, or scan the QR code. That will take you to my YouTube channel, and that's where I want to build a group. And there will be links to go to Cults 3D where you can download the rules. So every time I have a rules amendment or decide, you know what, I'm bored, I'm going to release a pirate ship for everybody, I'll message everyone on YouTube and say, go there and get this. And then on Cults, I'll give the rules and the rocket ship. And from there, I may do a website, but right now I'm not ready. But in 3 to 6 months, maybe more, the intention is to do a Kickstarter where I want to offer a minimum of 50 ships, 5 races with 50 ships with space sharks, space eels, space stations and pirates. And when that happens, I'll be using the YouTube channel to launch that, and I will probably end up then creating a website. So right now, it's all about YouTube.
It's all about the YouTube, which I like to hear. Outside of the YouTube, the Ilford Games Club then, how often do you meet and where do they meet?
Right, Ilford Wargames crew meet in Ilford, just off of Gants Hill. And we meet every Sunday from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 12 to 6. And on a Friday, we meet between 7 and 11. Okay. But the main day when we have the most amount of people and tables and games in play are on Sunday.
Okay.
We have a QR code which will take you conveniently to the correct page for data, so no need to write anything down in this day and age.
Well, you say that, but I still fight against any sort of technology. If it brings us to the stars and introduces us to Ming, it can't go well in the end. But there you go, folks. Definitely want to check out. If you're a fan of the retro Ray Punk style of gaming, then this has got a fantastic look to it. And I mean, who isn't a fan of Flash? How many of you are singing the theme tune right now? We're going to push on and see what else there is to see at Salute. Hello everybody, I'm here with Martin from Haverhill Wargamers to talk to him about the fantastic snowy Twilight board, World of Arenal.
Annual, yes.
I was so close.
Close enough.
Close enough. It's a fantastic looking piece from the front. It's more spectacular from the back, but we'll get to that. But what are people looking at here?
So they're looking at what Mike's put together as an empire force and a mixed force of the religious zealots and sort of the northern Viking types. The Dogu, diminutive Fubani, fighting over the land of Anural. So the Empire is sort of an expeditionary force because they don't quite like what's going on in the north with the religious zealots, and a bit of fun. It's in the realm of things. This is a massive game. You wouldn't normally play with this many miniatures. Probably only play with about 10 or 12, 15 miniatures at the most.
But it does have the spectacle, which
yes.
will draw the eye in most cases anyway. You're responsible for building the board then as well?
Yes, for my sins I am, yes.
So how long did this take from concept to finish?
About 8 months. It may have been a little bit longer, but generally about 8 months I think it took me.
Yeah.
In between work and being a sports coach.
Right. Well, busy life you lead. Interesting thing is, for me, what's going on at the back here.
The back, yeah.
What was the inspiration for this? Did you just not want to have a dull, flat back to the board?
Well, I didn't. When I first drew the concept up, I thought, well, if I move the building too far forward, there's nowhere to play.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if I move the building back, I'm going to have to slice something off it. And then I thought, and then it's going to be empty. And I'd already done a little bit of a standalone table with the priest conclave. And I thought, well, let's build it around that and then think about them preparing for war and bringing all of their heavier troops up through from the ground, because Fubani live in tunnels below the mountains, and they come up in a lift, and away they come up on a mechanical lift, and out they'd go.
It's a thing of beauty because it's not just a playable board, but it also has such a diorama quality to it that it's one of the things I love to see when people just take an extra step. I mean, it's unnecessary for gameplay, but as a piece of art in and of itself that people just stop and then double take and then take a step back and go, what have I just seen?
I think that's how it sort of evolved was, well, we're going to be playing there, but what is there for anyone else? They'll just be looking at us playing or maybe getting involved in the play, but I'll take all the smiles and the oh wows of people going by and stopping and going, yes, just that extra little bit. And if you know Mike and Mike knows me, I'm liable to do something stupid like that or daft or something extra just to grab the eye maybe.
Thin line between madness and genius, I think is the phrase.
Yes.
So tell me about Haverhill Wargamers then.
Well, we've been around for what seems like a gazillion years. I first went to Salute, I think, when it was at Kensington Town Hall.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we're talking 90s, and we've been coming ever since. It's the old boys that moved away from the bigger corporate games, and we moved into small scenario games. I think we got into Twilight about 8 or 10 years ago. And Mike's been really, really good to me. If he's had new casts done, he sends me the casts. He has a professional painter, but he likes what I do as well as a secondary. So some of the stuff that I painted miniature-wise, he's actually put on the game cards. And if we've written a bit of fluff or a bit of lore, he's put it in the game. So there are a number of us that play this that actually are named characters or cryptically named characters within the game.
I mean, that's the great thing about independent, small games, the ones that are still very much driven by their community and by their a small team and designers, that you can meet somebody and then go, that name sounds hauntingly familiar, and say, oh, it's because you may have run across this character in the game at some point, and that's just fantastic. How often do Haverhill meet then?
We'll be meeting this Monday, and we meet fortnightly because work and everything else gets in the way, life gets in the way. It's only a short time, we only have a 3-hour session, but we play a lot of board games now as well as small skirmish games. I mean, we don't just play this, we play we play B&B as well. Boroughs and Badgers is really popular. I've played Ronin and In Her Majesty's Name, but some of the board games we play are fun. Someone's just insisted that we get back into Hero Quest. I had a box of it years ago, and I've just got another new set, so that's something we might play. Kill Team and all sorts of stuff. But the smaller games, it's the older boys that play the smaller games. The younger lads are still playing 40k. And
if people want to come along, can they? And where should they look for you online? Or
look for us on Facebook. We're centred at Haverhill Castle Manor. It's not a secondary modern anymore. Showing my age. It will be Castle Manor Academy, and we're in the old sixth form common room, which is now the secondary dining room at the far end of the campus. We meet from 6 o'clock till 9 on every other Monday, and everyone's welcome to come along, give us a try. If they've got an idea on a game or they enjoy a game, bring it along and be captain of that game and introduce it to us, get us to play it as well. We're up for anything pretty much.
That's what I love to hear. It's very much the epitome of what wargaming is all about, and local clubs are the heartbeat of it. If you get the opportunity, if you're close to Haverhill, then why not pop along and see that. And if you haven't checked out Twilight, it's a fascinating game with a really interesting world that doesn't follow the usual fantasy tropes, and it's definitely one to check out as well. We're going to push on and see what else we can find here at Salute. So there we have it, a whistle-stop tour of probably...
How long's your whistle?
Whatever length this video was. That's how long my whistle is. Probably not even a quarter of the actual games that were on show here. So it really is just a snippet. We can't do it justice in one day, and unfortunately it was only on for one day. So to experience it for yourself, you really have to come here yourself. But there's been some fantastic tables, some fantastic people playing and running games, showing off the best and brightest of what wargaming is all about. There's been just too much to see, including things like Chain of Command 2, which was being demoed behind us, which, while I know it's being demoed, and Richard had a chat with me earlier, we haven't got anything on camera for that. However, he has said we will get in touch and have a little bit of an interview on the channel in the next week or two. So keep your eye peeled for that, because I know people were asking for us to get an update about Chain of Command 2. And I do love the cock, so, it's all good. Benjamin, what have been your standout moments from the show?
Maybe the fact that I managed to get Boroughs and Badgers 2nd edition. No. Actually, it is Boroughs and Badgers related. Tim of Magrathea has done an amazing dual setup, which you'll see in the videos, which was one side was Judge Dredd and the other side was Boroughs and Badgers. It was absolutely amazing, multi-layered tabletop. Cool. Yeah, it was really cool. Loads of really nice ancient stuff popping up as well, which has been good to see. But then a really nice mixture of pulpy stuff as well. Yeah. So kind of 70V-esque pulpy one, kind of like Elon Musk attacking a Martian base kind of thing, which is quite fun. There was a neon gaslands that Justin was really excited about as well. So there's been a really nice melting pot of different things popping out throughout the course of the day. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things for me was just seeing how many historical war games were on here. And I did hear somebody walk past me at one point going, oh, Salute, it's not just about historicals. Going, yeah, I mean, it's still by far and away the majority of the things here are historical based, but there's just so much more to see these days, and they're very welcoming to anything that you want to bring here and play, whether it's 40k or I've even seen Fantasy Battle 70.
Yeah. one of the nice things that's been popping up about the historical games as well is that the majority of the times I've seen the games being played, they've done it in a fashion where you can either learn how to play with the basics of it before you dive into the participation game, or they've done it so they've like toned down the rule set so it's a little bit easier for you to get in. So they're being very welcoming as clubs and groups and individuals as well, to try and like get people excited about a different era, well, different style of wargame perhaps as well, which is quite good. So yeah, it's good.
So there you have it. Hopefully that's wet your whistle for more of the same. I will say there've been a couple of games that are due to be released or were due to be shown off that weren't. So for people who are interested in what Fenris Games are up to and Tangent Miniatures, who've both been previous indies, I will be in touch with them and I'll be talking to you at length about their games in the future, sci-fi and fantasy. But that's us done. My voice is almost given out. The cabinets have been emptied and people are starting to drift off and tables are being set away.
I have one last thing to do. I told them I would do it. I will shout out Clark. I'm shouting you out in the YouTube video. So your name is now in the YouTube video, so you can see it now. So yes, wonderful. Obviously, Martin from the Hobby Lodge came and joined us a couple of weeks ago now. His son was like, "Can I be in the video?" You're in the video. There we go.
There you go. I assumed he meant Clark Kent. And on that bombshell, we're away. I hope you've enjoyed Salute 2025. We know we have. Bye-bye.